Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that honor. Let us bow our heads. Today, God, we ask that you bring special blessings upon this members of the public and our commissioners as they weigh the important matters of the day. And may we all be guided by the spirit of fairness, compassion, and dignity in all matters, and resolve any issues through a spirit of collaboration and respect. And with this, please join me in saying amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you may be seated. Thank you, Mayor, for those words. A little impromptu there. All right, Madam Attorney, can we move into reasonable opportunity for the public to be heard at this time?
Yes.
All right, reasonable opportunity for the public to be heard is now open. When I call your name, please state the item you're speaking on, your name and address, and you will have 2 minutes to speak this morning. I've got Leonard Huffman and Stanley Young.
Why the fuck you gotta come? St. Patty's me. Hey, I'm wearing green, bro. hey, be careful. Look where you're at. Behave, bro. Behave. Not put it home. Surprised it with it.
All right, you got 2 minutes. Please state your name and address, Mr. Young.
Chaplain Stanley Young, 500 Northwest 2nd Avenue, Miami, Florida. Chairman, I thank you for this time.
That won't be used against you, don't worry.
Okay, good. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, officers for serving our community and helping our community. I'm speaking on 11A1 about reentry. The Lord said I was in jail, I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Those are the words that I have carried in my heart for over 36 years in 3 states, to take the word of God into the prisons and jails to let the inmates know you made a mistake, but that mistake shouldn't make you into something you shouldn't be. I believe in reentry. I support reentry. I'm going to fight for reentry because there are some ones that are coming out of our prisons and jails really do need our help. And that is what I have dedicated my life to be a voice and a light to those who have turned their life around and now wanting a second chance to get him back into our community, to make our community better than they found it. I want to leave you with this. 3 weeks ago, I was out in the community, and I come across this encampment, this homeless encampment, and I saw a tent in the woods, and I called for the person that was in the tent to come out. And this lady came out of the tent, and very noticeable, she was 6 months pregnant. And so I tried all I can to help her to get into the shelters. That is what I do.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Young.
God bless.
God bless you. All right, Mr. Leonard Huffman. Mr. Leonard Huffman, going once, going twice, closed. All right, public hearing, reasonable opportunity is now closed. Madam Attorney, can we set the agenda at this time?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I do have, so I have a few changes. 2B1, Commissioner Milian Orbis is adding this item to the poll list. 3B2, And 3B3, Commissioner Milian Orbis adds these items to the pull list. 4C substitute has been distributed this morning. You should each have a copy for you on the dais, and that'll be added to the agenda as well. And the clerk has a copy, so that's 4C substitute. 8P1, Commissioner Milian Orbis is adding this item to the pull list. 8P2, Commissioner Gonzalez adds this item to the pull list. 14A1 through 14A5, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins she's pulling these items. She also is pulling item 1I1. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm getting additional pulls as and Commissioner Regalado is adding her name to 8P1 as a pulling commissioner. I also have additional requests for co-sponsorship. 4A, Commissioner Bermudez. 10A1, Senator Garcia assumes sponsorship. 11A1, Senator Garcia, co-sponsor. 11A2, Commissioner Steinberg is co-sponsoring. 11A4, Commissioner McGee. And 14A1 through 14A5, Senator Garcia, co-sponsor. I also have Commissioner Regalado wanting to co-sponsor 3B2, 3B3, 804, 805, and 10A1. Oh, and I just got word Commissioner Milian Orbis is releasing 2B1, so that will not be on the poll list. She was the only polling commissioner. So the items to be considered at today's meeting will be those listed in the printed final agenda, with the additions, deferrals, withdrawals, and scrivener's errors noted in the chairman's memorandum and the items I just mentioned. The commission will approve all these items by a single vote setting the agenda, except ordinances for first reading, public hearings, item 6B1, annual joint meeting of the Public Health Trust with the Board of County Commissioners, and submission of the trust external audit for fiscal year 2024-2025. Item 6B2, which is a discussion item regarding the 2026 state legislative session, and the following pull list items. Item 1I1, and I think that item had a substitute. Item 3B2, 3B3, 8P1, 8P2, 14A1, 14A2, 14A3, 14A4, 14A5, 14A6 and its supplement, and 15B1. A motion to set the agenda is in order.
I'll entertain a motion at this time. Commissioner Bastian moves the agenda. It's been seconded by Commissioner Steinberg. Is that so, Commissioner? Yes? All in favor of setting the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the agenda hereby set. Thank you for that, Commissioner Steinberg. I appreciate your involvement this morning.
So we're starting. Okay.
We're starting already. It's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. With that, Madam Attorney, can we start by taking up item 6B1, which is the joint meeting with the Public Health Trust and the Board of County Commissioners?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Migoya, if you can, and the chair, if you can both approach the two wells, and whoever wants to go first can do it. I understand you may have a presentation for us. Do it how you've done it in past years, which has been very expeditiously and resourceful and quickly and fast. Those are all the same meanings, right? I'm just kidding. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, especially people that grow their hair really fast. I don't know if we should be getting those kind of comments, but thank you. We start off with our chair here today.
All right. Chairman?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Vice Chairman McGee, Madam Mayor, morning, and all the members of the Commission. It is my privilege to be here today with my colleagues behind me who have the privilege of serving on the Public Health Trust Board of Trustees to present our annual report about the progress of the Jackson Health System. This annual meeting is one of the most important commitments that we do every year. It gives us the opportunity to showcase, to bring forth the accomplishments of the Jackson Health System over the last year, and to share the goals and visions for the year ahead. As chairman of the Public Health Trust, I take this very seriously, my responsibility to ensure that this taxpayer-funded system operates with excellence, accountability, and steadfast focus on the people of this community. I say with full confidence that our neighbors across Miami-Dade County are fortunate to have the nation's best doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals in their backyard at Jackson. I can assure you that this board and Jackson's leadership team never loses sight of what is in the best interest of our community and our taxpayer owners. This year marks a pivotal moment in our organization as we prepare for a leadership transition. For the past 15 years, Carlos Migoya has been the driving force behind Jackson's remarkable transformation. He arrived in 2011 and came with a bold vision and determination to strengthen our landmark institution, and he certainly has succeeded. Because of his leadership, Jackson today is stronger, more innovative, and better positioned, not just locally, but nationally. His legacy will be one of growth and relentless commitment to excellence. Carlos has always believed that strong organizations are built by strong teams and by developing the next generation of leadership. We are fortunate to have such a person here with us this morning, Dr. David Zambrana. And is someone that Carlos has mentored, prepared, and entrusted in carrying the mission forward. Before I turn over this microphone to Carlos, I want to thank my Public Health Trust colleagues who generously devote their time, energy, and expertise to ensure the highest levels of accountability and transparency. It is an honor to serve alongside each and every one of you. And to each of you, our distinguished Board of County Commission, thank you for believing in Jackson and the vital role it plays for Miami-Dade County. With that, it is my pleasure, sadly, to turn over the microphone to Carlos Migoya.
Thank you, Chair. And I understand what you meant by sadly. Sadly for the last time in this joint meeting.
Absolutely.
This is what happens when you build friends over years. Mr. Chair, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to once again be here before you to what I refer to as our annual State of Jackson Health System Address. This past year has been defined by progress. We've expanded access to care, strengthened our clinical programs, invested in innovation, and deepened our commitment to serving every resident of Miami-Dade County regardless of their ability to pay. We ended the fiscal year earning a modest surplus, marking the 14th year we have achieved that. And in front of you today, you'll have our annual audited statements for you to accept. And we have grown thoughtfully and intentionally, ensuring that our community evolves, so does too our capacity to meet its needs. But if there's one constant in healthcare, and particularly for public health systems like Jackson, it is the persistent headwinds we face. One of the most significant issues currently facing us is property tax reform. As you all know, a bill proposing a referendum where voters could approve the elimination of non-school property taxes on homestead properties would be effective October 1st of 2027, and that one's already cleared the House. If enacted, that proposal could negatively impact Jackson by approximately $83 million a year. While the legislature adjourned without taking action on this, all indications suggest that some form of property tax bill will be approved in a special session later this year for a referendum this fall. For a system like ours, our local property taxes directly support trauma care, the care delivered to babies in our NICU, behavioral health services, and access to our most vulnerable neighbors. A reduction of this magnitude could have dire consequences, and we are committed to continue to educate lawmakers on these potential impacts. The expiration of enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies at the end of 25 also poses a significant risk. Marketplace coverage has grown from less than 4% of our patient base a decade ago to more than 18% today because we are a non-Medicaid expanded state. If coverage declines, we could see an increase of uninsured patients, representing a potential worst-case revenue impact of another $40 million a year. We also continue to advocate for other critical programs to help us fund our mission. 3 years ago, we began a transformational initiative focused on driving operational efficiencies, tightening our processes, and building a stronger, more sustainable foundation. To date, these efforts have a total impact of approximately $324 million a year, or about 10% of our operating budget, both in savings and in revenues. Our goal is to sustain that momentum by cutting 3% of operating expenses annually, equating to an additional $100 million a year, while protecting quality, access, and our workforce. Since the day I arrived at Jackson nearly 15 years ago, the health system has operated at the intersection of margin and mission. We have learned how to adapt to these constraints and uncertainties, how to innovate without compromising quality, and how to stretch every public dollar while delivering world-class care. And we get better and stronger every year. We have remained steadfast in our commitment to smart, intentional growth. Over the last year, we strengthened our presence in the community by opening a new diagnostic center and physician practice to complement our existing urgent care center in Coral Gables, creating a true continuum of outpatient services in that community. In North Miami Beach, a multi-specialty practice located near our Keystone Point Urgent Care Center and just a few miles from Jackson North Medical Center serves as a model for coordinated patient care closer to home. Next month, we will open our first Jackson Express Care on 6th and Collins Avenue in South Beach, an ideal spot for local residents and tourists who need quick, convenient medical care so that they can get back to enjoying their time in our community. These are not isolated projects. They're part of a deliberate strategy to meet patients where they are and to ensure that high-quality care is accessible, convenient, and connected. Our plan is to continue to grow Jackson's outpatient footprint thoughtfully and strategically in the years ahead. Yet even as we expand access points across the county, we never lose sight of who we are at our core. From transplantation and trauma to cardiac surgery and neurosurgery, from pediatrics and rehabilitation to high-risk maternity care, our health system remains a destination for complex, life-saving care. We're very proud to serve as a safety net and as a world-class academic medical center simultaneously. In just 37 days, we will open our new emergency room at Jackson Memorial Hospital, and it will be one of the largest, if not the largest, most advanced in the nation. We are currently working through our final punch list, preparing for opening day on April 23rd. This $400 million facility will transform how we deliver emergency care by featuring specialized areas, expanded capacity, and improved throughput. The building has been thoughtfully designed to enhance care for all the patients that we serve, including inmates and those experiencing behavioral health emergencies, by incorporating distinct, secure, and specialized areas within the same building. This will allow us to meet complex needs without compromising access, compassion, quality, and safety. Most importantly, it will create a safe, welcoming experience for all patients and a better, more efficient environment for our care team members. The Jackson Memorial Emergency Room is the front door to more than 70% of our managed patients, and we know how important it is to have first impressions there. This will be a best-in-class environment that reflects the exceptional care of our patients that our patients deserve. Each of you have been invited to a special event being hosted by the Jackson Health Foundation in the new emergency department on April 16th. So that evening, we would love to have each and every one of you there to enjoy and celebrate with us as the next era of Jackson emergency care starts. And finally, this will be my last year standing before you in this role as CEO. I'm sorry that I have to do this to you, Mr. Gilbert, but it just came eventually. It has been one of the greatest honors of my professional life to lead this institution and to work alongside all of you. I am profoundly grateful to each of you and your continued support, not just of me, but of the health system that is so dear to all of us. I am 100% confident that Jackson will continue to be a beacon in this community and an institution that we are all proud of. Under the leadership of Jackson's next CEO, David Zambrana, which is here now and will speak a little more on our behalf, I'd like to hand over the microphone over to David to say a few words.
Thank you for that. While David comes up, I'm intrigued to know if for that ribbon cutting, your access card will still work. David, you may want to address that. I don't want to see any tiddlywinks being paid there.
Mr. Chair, I will be brief. Thank you, Carlos. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Madam Mayor, and all of you commissioners. I want to thank my mentor and friend, Carlos Migoya, for his extraordinary leadership at Jackson Health System over the last 15 years. He has masterfully rebuilt Jackson and helped shape it into the strong, trusted institution it is today. His vision and dedication have created a lasting legacy and positioned us for continued success in the years ahead. As I step into the CEO role on June 1st, I look forward to working with each and every one of you, continuing to push Jackson forward. Jackson, as you know, is a renowned institution centered on clinical excellence, powered by the most passionate team of 15,000 plus caregivers, and rooted by a mission to serve this community in a way no other health system does. You have my word that that will not change. Looking ahead, as Carlos shared, we're strategically positioned on expanding our outpatient services while continuing to strengthen our long-standing partnership with the University of Miami Health System. We know that we are stronger together, and the alignment has never been stronger than it is today. We're partnering with UHealth on an economic impact study that highlights how the Miami-Dade Health District fuels economic growth in Miami-Dade County and across Florida as the region's only academic medical center. The Health District's annual economic impact in Miami-Dade County is $8.9 billion, generating 46,000 jobs. Also noteworthy is that Jackson offers accessible job opportunities that do not require a four-year degree, yet provide above-average earnings. The Health District is a pivotal community anchor for healthcare, research, and medical education, and we are committed to working together on a master plan to ensure its continued growth and evolution for years to come. Once the report is finalized, we will send each of you a copy for your review. We also want to remind you that our annual Day of Giving, One Day for Jackson, is just a few weeks away on Thursday, April 16th. On that day, we celebrate the impact Jackson Health System has throughout our community. We would normally show a patient story in a video, but keeping with time, we appreciate your time this morning, and we're happy to take any questions. Thank you all.
Thank you, David. And go ahead. This is interesting. From the outgoing CEO to the incoming CEO, the full head of hairs is really what's getting me here. But I do want to take a moment to recognize and welcome to the chamber my former colleague and now holds a seat that I once held on the PHT, Senator Alexis Calatayud. Thank you for being with us this morning. Are you guys done with your presentation? This is probably the longest that Migoya has ever spoken on that podium. So, colleagues, as I prepare to officially adjourn the joint committee, I'm sure that you're all eager to say a few words to this very short, bald man in front of us. But if you have questions on the joint meeting itself, I will recognize you now. If not,
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let me finish because I could see this where it goes. If not, once we're done with the joint meeting, I will ask all my colleagues to join me down by the well for a special recognition for Carlos Migoya. So, but on the joint meeting itself, Senator Garcia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just want to commend you both for the work. Carlos, you've done a phenomenal job. But now that we have the incoming CEO, and we're going to have some comments later on to celebrate you, Carlos. I really do appreciate you. We've never always agreed, but I do know where your heart has been, and it's been with Jackson all along. So I appreciate that. David, quick question. Now that we have the issue with the Affordable Care Act subsidies that may be disappearing, that obviously is going to put a drain on Jackson, on having less insured patients. What are we looking to do? What is happening in Washington? Can you please give us a quick update on that? Because that is a big impact to this community and how we respond.
Sure. Just this morning, was speaking with our CFO on what we're seeing so far. We're watching the situation very, very closely. We've seen a transition from ACA plans to managed care, and we've seen a slight increase in our unfunded. As Mr. Magoya shared, our focus continuously is on how do we continue to advocate both at the state and federal levels every day on ensuring all of our subsidies remain intact, and looking within the system for constant efficiencies to make up whatever deficit. Our continued plan is to watch this closely and continue to figure out ways to support our community as we have all along.
So, Mr. Chairman, so as of right now, we just don't have a grasp on the actual impact to Jackson or to Miami-Dade County then? Is that, it's okay to say we don't know because it's
So
a
we're
huge
watching
impact.
it closely. We don't know what the full impact is going to be, as we don't know which of these patient groups will transition to either unfunded or another form of a managed care or a subsidy plan.
Have we run any studies to see what a potential hit to Jackson could be? The reason I asked the question is it's important for our state leaders to understand the impact that this could potentially be to our system and to Miami-Dade County, since we are the largest provider of Medicaid.
Our analysis shows that in the worst impact, if these all transition to unfunded, it'd be around a $40 million hit a year.
That's important. I think it's, Mr. Chairman, the reason I bring that up, it's incumbent upon all of us to stress the importance. We are a community that relies on these subsidies to ensure that we have, our patients are insured. And granted that I understand the concept of eliminating them, but if we eliminate them, I think it's important for the federal government to understand they need to replace it with something else. Whether it's, like they said, is whether it's a transfer to another insurance or pay the recipients or the client, pay them their premiums directly, do something. But to abandon this community after so many years, it's going to be a deep, deep impact to the GR of our budget and also that of Jackson. And we're going to have to come up with something in a tough budget year. We're going to have to figure something out relatively quickly. So I just want to bring that up, and thank you so much for keeping abreast on that, and just want to bring that to the attention of the commission.
Commissioner from District 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Magoya and new CEO, Dr. Zambrana. I know we're going to reserve comments on their service and the transition for when we do the presentation in the well, and so I will certainly reserve those comments. But right now, I want to piggyback off of what Senator Garcia raised, and so my question is, first, thank you for mentioning the tax cuts that we are anticipating from Tallahassee and how you anticipate that it will affect your budget. Right now, it is at $83 million, but depending on where it lands, you anticipate it being between, I think, $30 and $100 million to your budget. But you didn't just say that this is the impact that we anticipate. You said that this is the plan that we have in place, right, in order to prepare for that. And so my comments are simply to applaud you for highlighting that for us and saying 3% is, I think, what you all are instituting immediately in operating costs and a reduction of those to prepare. So thank you for that. But my question is, the $40 million that you just mentioned in response to Senator Garcia's comments, is that in addition to, or is that the same cut, right? I mean, I think he was talking about something different. I could be wrong. Are these two separate cuts that you, I see Dr. Zambrana nodding his head. These are two separate anticipated cuts to your budget that are...
When you talk about headwinds, there's all kinds of different headwinds.
Sure.
There are two very different ones. The tax cut, if they did 100% of it, which at this point we don't know, but that could be the worst case, will be $83 million. The ACA subsidies is an additional $40 million. As of right now, we're also dealing with the fact that CMS is not renewing the direct payment program, which is a supplemental payment to Medicaid to the state of Florida, which is $3.4 billion to the state, of which $150 million of that happens to Jackson itself. So that's another worst case scenario. These are the normal headwinds that we've been dealing with for the last 14 years and continue to do so. We talk to people in Washington, and thank God we have some people in power in Washington that come from Florida that we have contact with, we're daily talking to them. So these are the normal headwinds that we have, which is why we say typically we're looking for that 3% reduction. If depending on what happens with the property tax reform, which obviously we would know later this summer, and then of course in the fall, we would have a year to prepare for that. That would not, the 3% would not be enough. We'd have to cut between 5 and 6%. Like I said, in the last 2.5 years, we've cut 10%. So we need to continue to look for ways to be more efficient. We don't get any additional revenues for the job we do. As a matter of fact, we get less revenues. So we got to be smarter and more efficient as to how we do things to be able to continue profitability. And that's what we do. That's what we've been doing for the last 15 years. And that's the kind of things we'll continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner from District 1, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Carlos David, thank you all for your service. I understand everything. I don't really have a question or comment for either of you. I just wanted to say hi to Big Abby, who just came in, the former county attorney. Big Abby, stand up away, people. You all don't know Big Abby, but Abby was the former county attorney for years. So, yeah, this is great.
Big Abby? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Commissioner from District 11, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Magoya, so I'm listening attentively to the discussion. You mentioned that there may be an $83 million, I guess, shortfall should there be a removal of the property taxes. Now, my question is, what passed in the House, from what I understand, is the removal of property taxes for homestead properties. Is that 83 million factoring in 100% of property tax removal, or are you factoring in if it were to pass only for the homestead properties?
This is strictly for the homestead properties. The 83 million is related to what the House has passed. So, and that seems to be, obviously we don't know, that may be what happens, may be worse, may be better. We're just using that as a measurement for the time being.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments on the joint meeting? Any other comments on the joint meeting itself? Madam Mayor?
Thank you. I cannot resist the opportunity to say what an incredible journey it has been serving with you, sir.
Mayor, we're actually doing that when we go down to the...
Oh, down to the well, we're going to speak there?
Yep, we are.
Well, I'll speak again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, colleagues, we don't have to take a formal vote or anything, so please join me surrounding the well for a special recognition of Carlos Magoya.
Excuse me, I'm busy here. Do you mind going somewhere else? You don't have to put up with your ass anymore. A couple more days on the payroll. 40 million. The net cost to us.
All right, all right, all right. Calido.
Hey, Kawanda, let me tell him to take his badge off.
All right. Are all the commissioners here? Yes?
Yeah.
Give him,
If
cut him
she's
some
back here, she
slack.
can't
Commissioner.
see.
Cut him some slack. This guy is something special, man. All right, Madam Mayor, did you already give him a kiss? You did the whole thing. You want to do that? All right, can we quiet down in the back as well? Sarge? All right, Carlito. Carlito, we wanted to, as a full body, as a county, we wanted to recognize you today for, of course, your many years of dedication and leadership with just a small token of appreciation for everything that you have done for this community. So we have a couple things. One, if you could bring it. We have, can you open this for me? It's not fancy. It's meaningful, but it's not fancy. We have an official globe that represents the incredible transformation that you led at Jackson Health System, helping turn Jackson into a globally recognized healthcare institution. And I personally selected it because it also reflects something many of us know about you personally, which is your love for traveling the world and learning from it. So on behalf of the entire county commission, of course, they will all say a few words in just a few seconds. I wanted to present to you this very meaningful award. And of course, we are also going to be presenting to you the official key to Miami-Dade County. That and $12 might get you a movie ticket. Yeah. Maybe. So this key is symbolic for many reasons, but it's something very simple. No matter where life takes you next, you'll always have a home here with us in Miami-Dade County. And this will always be your home. Carlito, your leadership helped guide Jackson through one of the most challenging financial periods in history and into a new era of stability, growth, and excellence. And those are very true words. You showed that a public health system can serve our most vulnerable residents while also becoming a world-class healthcare institution. And finally, Carlito, on my behalf of the commission, thank you not only for your leadership and service for this community, but also for your friendship. My friend, congratulations, and know that your impact here will be felt for generations to come. Thank you, my friend.
First of all, thank you for your service. You're such an amazing friend. You've been such an amazing leader and such a great mentor to me. We got to work together in the city of Miami when you were the manager, and you worked for a BlackBerry and $1, and really changed the course of the city of Miami. I learned so much from you during that crisis, and I really have been blessed to be your friend. You know, we all have personal relationships, and we don't get to talk about them much, especially when people have to come up before the podium. So now that you don't have to do that anymore, I get to talk about it in the sense that when I was a school board member, you were the first person to support me, and I want to thank you for that. When I first said I was running and everyone said it was crazy, you were the first one to write a check without me even asking you for it. He even beat my dad to the punch. And when I was grappling with revealing that my daughter had been diagnosed with autism, I had been asked by the Miami Herald to do it. You were the person that I called. And you told me that this was my opportunity to really make a change. And I want to thank you for that. It has changed my life. It has changed my children's life. And it has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of autistic people. So thank you for always being there for me, for being such a strong advocate. Your leadership comes from your love for your son at Jackson, and that has been an inspiration to me and to so many people who were given a difficult task and turned it into advocacy. So Jackson will always be your baby. You are not short. Most Cuban men are 5'7". I don't know what he's talking about. And he's just jealous because you were a race car driver and he was not.
Well, first of all, you're not follically challenged, coming from a follically challenged guy. You and Dr. Zambrano are both, it's good hair. You know, you look good. That's the way, not only you guys with hair look good, so thank you very much, but thank you for your leadership. I want to thank the senator. I want to thank also the board, Amadeo, who I've known for a long time. He's not follically challenged, but I am, but that's okay. And for the great job they do as volunteers for this. But in particular, Carlos, I want to thank you because you have been, truthfully, for many public servants, including me, a leader, an example in this community. And I remember when we started the city of Doral, your predecessor could never we had a discussion about a a potential hospital, and I said, well, you're missing out on the middle of, this great new city that has just started. And eventually, the first hospital in many, many, many years, certainly public hospital, it was in District 12 in the city of Doral. And your leadership skills in turning around what was at that point a very difficult situation, I think, is something that we should all emulate. So I think all of us have learned, and many others that are not here, have learned from you. Most important, your leadership skills in tough times, because anybody can be a leader in easy times. That's not hard to do. But being a leader in tough times is really what exemplifies a public servant, which is what you've done with your leadership at Jackson. And I want to take this moment to thank you personally, on behalf of myself and my family, for being there at a very difficult moment for me. And Jackson, I can attest, is an example not only for, it's an example for this whole state and for this community. And probably without your help, I wouldn't be here today. I know my wife thanks you, and I know I thank you, and my family thanks you, because the great service, and a lot of people many times don't understand what this hospital means. And I know Senator Cantayud does, because she's from here, but maybe others in the state don't understand how important it is to have a public health system that is at the top of its game in such a large area as is Miami-Dade County. And the proof is in the pudding. You've done a great job. Keep on traveling, keep on enjoying, and I'll save a cigar for you.
And I thank you on his behalf too, because I could have not dealt with a third appointment on this board. I could have not. So I thank you too for Commissioner Bermudez. And it would have been an appointment, just for the record.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So Carlos, here. All right. So you know that Jackson has a special place in my heart, because I spent 13 long years working there, and I've had such great fond memories there. And I remember when you took the reign of Jackson, you promised to change it for the better, And then you accepted to do it without any money. I think $1 a day at that time, if I recall correctly. And I like someone who keeps his word. You made the promise, and you kept your promise. And for that, I thank you. I thank you for turning GMH into a globally recognized health institution. And then since, as we all know that health is wealth, I launched a campaign called Health is Wealth. It means that your leadership contributed to the wealth of thousands and thousands and thousands of our residents for over 15 years. So I thank you for all that you do. And then I thank you for being so smart in leaving Jackson in the capable hands of David Zambrano. So that takes leadership, and then you said it correctly. You are as strong as your team is strong. And then you've had a strong board, and then I'm so pleased to see the Senator Catalayud, and then the rest of the boards. I've served with them because I represent the county on the board, and some of them have been there forever, like Reverend Richardson and then others. They've been there for a long, long time. So you're right when you say that you're as strong as your team is strong, and you've been blessed with a very strong, strong board. So I wish you continued blessings in all your endeavors, and may God keep you safe and healthy. I know you value health a lot. With your exercise, may God keep you safe in his embrace, safe and healthy in his embrace, today and always. Congratulations.
And to my bald, beautiful brother, just want to say personally thank you so much on behalf of my family. Similar to what we've heard, you've always been there a phone call away. There have been many nights and days I've called you on behalf of folk in the community and family, and not once did you ever shy away. Instead, you stepped up even more to ensure that health was wealth, as we heard from our colleague. And secondly, I want to say this to you. Those days where you and I sat and just had conversations at our office, away from the office, I'll just put it that way. I just want to say thank you, because those are the type of conversations I think that goes to help mold inspire, but more than anything, push forth agendas that can be beneficial and that are beneficial to the entire community. And lastly, let me just say this to you. I know you have the key to the county, but I'm sure if you were to get a parking ticket, the mayor will make some phone calls on your behalf.
It's heavy. So, Mr. Magoya, you know, there's been some comments that have been made, which reminds me of a story of Napoleon. And so Napoleon had some statutes made, and it was for him and all of his generals. And he calls in the artists, and he rebukes the artist in front of everybody, and he says, how dare you make my statute shorter than the others? And then the artist is shaking, because Napoleon was Napoleon, and the artist is like, sir, I made it accurate to size. Napoleon says, he says, you fool, don't you understand that a man's height and stature is not measured by the distance of his head to the ground, but of his head and his heart to God? And with that being said, you are a giant among men, sir. Thank you so much for everything you've done for the residents of Miami-Dade County. We are all able to stand on your shoulders and see a bright future because of the great things that you've done. So God bless you, my friend. Yes, sir.
That was good. Mr. Migoya, it has been an honor working with you. When you called me to say that you were leaving, I think I told you I was about to hang up the phone because I was not ready for that kind of news. But you have led Jackson through extraordinary times, good and bad. You have taken them to a whole new level. You know, your leadership, you can tell in the hospital the way that all the employees admire you and admire the work that they do, and that is indicative of a great leader. So I want to thank you. Your work, your service to our community will leave a lasting legacy in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for always supporting our initiatives. Thanks to your help and your staff, we launched Project Pink to help many, many women across Miami-Dade County with breast exams, and I'm very thankful for your support with that. So congratulations. I hope you'll stick around and keep working with us and helping us out. Don't go on vacation, because we'll be calling you, I'm sure. So thank you for your service, congratulations, and we thank you for everything you've done for Jackson and our community.
There's, you know, I think all the sentiments that have been said, we echo. We wish you a farewell, a heartfelt farewell, but a sincere thanks for your leadership, your dedication, your service, and what you've done for this community at large, because Jackson is part of our community, and every person and every patient and every employee that has been serviced under your leadership. It has been, and as someone said, I mean, you ushered us through some of the toughest times with COVID. And you really haven't stopped. And we want to, you know, basically at this point, we just want you to stay in touch, help guide us, and continue doing what you're doing, because I know you're not going to just do nothing, right? We wish you the best of success in whatever your future endeavor is going to be, but I know it's not going to be retirement, so you're going to have to fill us in soon. And congratulations.
Carlos, we've been friends for decades. I want to thank you first for your friendship and your support all along the way, but I want to also say, most people don't really realize how you have fought as a fearless advocate in Tallahassee. I personally was able to help you. You have sat in my office begging to make sure that what Tallahassee was doing would not impact negatively our public health system. I am grateful to you, your team, for having had the courage. It's not easy, and yet you never gave up. And so I'm grateful for the fact that you always have fought for Miami-Dade County and for what's best for us, but in this case, what is best for our public health system. So congrats on an incredible journey that has brought you throughout all of your roles and responsibilities. But honestly, I know that, as my colleagues have said, I know you're not retiring. You couldn't possibly. Your brain trust is something that we all need. So have some fun, but I know you'll be back. Love you.
Thank you. I know we're all saying thank you, but you are an example of leadership mattering and what one individual can do to change an entire community. And I know it's not easy to pass the baton. Most people hold on to that baton far longer than they should. And even the act that you are doing now in passing the baton is commendable on so many levels. But Jackson is our public health hospital. And for many, many years, particularly in the 80s, frankly, it was an embarrassment to our community. And you came in and you transformed the hospital to being a world-class hospital that it is today, that we can all be proud of. And as you know, Carlos, I was born at Jackson. My mom was an immigrant. We didn't have any money. And for immigrants in the 80s that didn't have any money and certainly didn't have health insurance, Jackson is where you received your health care. And so growing up, I remember telling people that I was born at Jackson and being somewhat embarrassed because they're like, oh my God, you were born at Jackson? Thank you for transforming our public hospital into a place where we and I can be proud to call our public hospital. That is your work, Carlos Migoya. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're absolutely right with that. Jackson used to be the hospital of last resort, and now it's a premier world-class hospital where we have transplant centers, a children's hospital, the world premier trauma center, the research that comes out of Jackson. Carlos, Mr. Migoya, thank you for the work that you did. You really did this transformation in a short time. And I'll never forget that moment that we sat together in my office and I asked you a simple question. You're a banker? What are you going to do with Jackson? And brother, was I wrong. And it takes, I was, because I didn't think that he could do it, and he absolutely did it. And together we've been through a lot of battles, from the low-income pool to disproportionate share payments to occupancy in beds and everything, all the battles we've had in Tallahassee. Carlos, I just want to commend you for the outstanding work that you've been able to accomplish, not only for the commissioners that are here, but for our community. Think about what you've been able to do. You've been able to transform a hospital where the underserved and the uninsured is sitting next to a bed with a millionaire. And that says a lot about an institution, says a lot about who you are as a man, says a lot about your heart, and we thank you very much for the work that you've done, for transforming that hospital, making sure that Jackson is not only a hospital of last resort, but is a premier hospital for this community, for everyone to be proud of. So God bless you, my friend. Thank you so very much.
This is an incredible opportunity, Mr. Migoya, for me to say thank you for your public service. I'm sorry. What you've built, we've all mentioned, but I want to thank you for what you've built to continue the legacy. The team that we have running Jackson under your leadership is world-class, and that is your hand. And as you pass the baton, you're passing it to people you have complete confidence in. We need to thank you as a community, not just for building up Jackson, but building up the future of Jackson in the leadership that's coming. And your hand will not be far from the continued upward progress of Jackson, but also so many other elements of our community will now have your touch as well. I'm so excited to see what this next chapter brings, and you continue to cultivate the world-class city that Miami is, should be, and will become every day. Sir, thank you for what you've done in every respect. We honor you today.
You said be nice? Okay. David, should I be nice? Okay, I'll be nice. Well, we had lunch yesterday, so I said all the personal things yesterday. You know I love you, you're my friend. That goes without saying. What we've heard is great. He is an extraordinary leader, but his leadership and the brilliance of his leadership is that he built a system. There are millions of people who Jackson has served, and he does not know their names. We don't know their names. They don't even know his. He built a system that had somebody who, in their very worst moment, could come someplace and get the very best care. That system transforms lives. You built a system that allowed children to be born, that allowed people to have dignity instead of despair. You built that system. I appreciate that because I understand that our time in leadership, all of our time in leadership, is fleeting. We're going to leave. Take the lesson from him to build a system that endures. The system that endures serves the community that we love. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Carlos, I know it wouldn't be a complete, the mayor's still pending. All right, mayor, damn it. I'm just kidding. Still got one more.
So my relationship with Jackson started before your tenure, always as an advocate for the uninsured and the underinsured. And I was skeptical, like others, when you came on board. But what you have proven from the start is that you believed you could do both. You could build a world-class hospital that was financially stable and continue the core mission of serving those who were uninsured and underinsured. That is a miracle. I also want to say I was given the easiest job of all to serve on the committee that did your annual appraisal and compensation. I don't know how I got this job, but every chair has given me this job. What an easy job was that. And to plan such a smooth transition to the wonderful Dr. Zambrana, that is a miracle too. So I'll end with this to say, we bonded through COVID, we bonded through reform of our correction system. You know, we'll never forget those times. But mostly, we've bonded over our grandchildren. That's so very special. Thank you.
Did I miss anybody? Thank you, Mayor. Did I miss anybody? All right, so before we officially do the proclamation, which of course this wouldn't be a presentation or recognition without one, I know it's cliche to say, but Dr. Zambrana, you definitely have big shoes to fill, and I trust that you will, but I think it's taken decades to get to where you are. Before I present this proclamation with my colleagues to you, Carlos, I'd like to have join us someone that I know you would not have the success that you have without this person. Your work wife, the rock of the Public Health Trust. Esther, please join us. And while I know that today is, of course, recognizing Mr. Migoya, Carlito, I mean it. I know, Esther, thank you for always taking the calls when Migoya is skiing in Aspen. He always answers the phone, even if he's on the slopes. But we all can attest, working firsthand with you, that Migoya's success is only possible due to his entire team, to a very supportive board at the Health Trust, most of which are here this morning, and of course with the person that keeps him on time in check. And I need the same thing, someone that tells me what not to say, but he could get away with it. Yeah, but he could get away with it. So while this is for Carlos Migoya as he nears his end as CEO, this is very much yours as well. So with that, be it resolved that the mayor of the county, Daniela Levine Cava, to my right, myself as chairman of the board, and members of the Board of County Commissioners on behalf of Miami-Dade County and its 2.8 million plus minus residents, do hereby proclaim today, Tuesday, March 17th, as Carlos Migoya Day. Congratulations, my friend.
I don't do well with these things. For those who know me well, I don't do well in these kinds of things. I don't like talking about myself. I don't like hearing about myself, except when it's negative thoughts. But seriously, and by the way, I'm starting a fundraising right now with $20 for help the chair get a haircut.
I
deserve that. I deserve that. I deserve that.
But seriously, when I first came and when I first was interviewed for the job at Jackson, and they said, well, you're a banker. Well, actually, most people forgot that I was a banker. You know, they think about city manager. I was there for a year, but they don't remember me being a banker. But they said, you're a banker. What do you know about healthcare? And I said, I don't know anything about healthcare, but I know about people. And in any major organization, it's about people and getting the right people. And you're right, Oliver, when you say it's not about me. It's not about any individual. It's about creating a system that survives all of us and creates the kind of a level and the pride in every employee at Jackson that becomes patient-centric and does it for the right reason of caring for the community. Jackson, for me, was not a career job. If it had been a career job, I probably wouldn't have taken it because I didn't know whether I was going to succeed or not. I took it because it needed to be done, and someone needed to do it, and I thought it needed to be someone local that understood the need and the value of Jackson. And you all know a lot of my family reasons why I did the Jackson job, but I think right now I still don't look back at what we've done. David knows we talk about what needs to be done going forward, which is a lot of stuff. We've come a long way, but we got a long way to go. And David's not filling my shoes. He's got his own shoes, and he will do a great job in what he does. For some people that say I'm going to retire and what are you going to do, travel more? I already travel plenty. It's not about traveling. Miami's my home. I said if I got the job at Jackson, it would be the biggest legacy I could leave the city, and it has been. I still think there's a lot more to be done for this city, and you guys are a perfect example of what needs to be done for the city. Many of you I've known well before you were commissioners. And we have relationships that go a long way, and maybe got part of being old, but I cherish all those relationships in very different ways. And I'm very honored that you did this. I was not expecting this to happen, especially from this guy over here, who's he and I have a good personal relationship and enjoyed a lot of good times together. But thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Vice Chair. But seriously, Miami has a lot of great things that we've done. Miami has a lot of great things that we need to be in the future. And in order for us to continue to grow, there's a lot of infrastructure things that we need to do to this community. Education, transportation, housing, which is a big job, a big thing for me, and workforce housing. You know that I care about workforce housing and education. And that's just some of the things that Jackson will continue to do, not just provide health care, but housing and education for the young people of this community to do in health care. You'll hear more about that in the next few months. But frankly, thank you for the key. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here and use that key because I'll be here. I still have other places to go, but I'll be here and you'll see me plenty. And as long as David will have me, I'll be providing input for him and working with him and making sure that we continue to build Jackson to what it is. But thank you for this honor, and thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right. If the board can join us for a photo as well, and. Hold that. Want to get him the award too? Can we get his award? Jasmine, can we get with it? And if any of Carlos's staff is here, I know that we have Esther, but if Carlos's staff is here, please join us as well. Yes, I can hold the key for him. Yep. Oh, I'm dropping stuff.
Yeah, they
I know. Real gold, by the way.
We're going to have to double up.
there's one.
All right, everybody over here.
You got it, Armando?
Okay, hold it. Can you guys clear back, please?
Watch out, watch out.
Guys with the phones, move back, move back. Here we go. Here we go. One more. Last one. Thank you.
Eddie, ¿dónde me vaya? Let me say hello, Alexis.
How are you? Good to see you.
You look good. I like the
Good to see you.
Great.
Hello.
That looks so sweet when you say
Oh,
it.
no, but it's true. He's the best. He's the best.
No, we try not to tell him too often.
I know. It goes to his head. It
Right,
goes to his head.
right.
I told him that if he behaves, I'll give him a streak. But he has to promise to behave. Usually, I have a rule.
How long have you known him?
Albert. Can we raise my microphone up there in the thing? Higher it. Raise might not be the right. That's a Cuban translation, right? Raise. Oh wow, who did that? That worked. All right, Commissioner Bastien, the teacher. Albert, I was calling your name, man. You're busy talking to your supervisor. All right. If I can, is Commissioner, okay. I'm going to go ahead while Jackson is still here and take up items 14A1 through 14A5. Commissioner from District 8. You're the pooling commissioner on this. 14A1 through 14A5, which is the collective bargaining agreements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm certainly supportive of the items. I pulled the items for the uncomfortable conversation that I think that we need to start having as a board as we move into negotiating new cost of living collective bargaining agreements here in Miami-Dade County. This one I know is at 4%. I understand, and if someone from Jackson can approach to confirm what my understanding is of these, that you are all in the kind of, for lack of a better terminology, the last of the grouping of collective bargaining agreements that are being negotiated at the 4%. This is not the start of a new collective bargaining agreement time period. And so I think that we need to have a conversation as a board on 4% and whether or not that's sustainable in Miami-Dade County, considering the tax cuts that we know are coming. I know the estimates currently are very rough at $990 million. There's no question that these cost of living adjustments are certainly deserved by our hardworking employees. But we are going to have to make very difficult decisions in the very near future as we negotiate new cost of living collective bargaining agreements, and I am not sure that the 4% is sustainable. And so, to Jackson, is my understanding correct that you are all on the tail end of the collective bargaining agreement cycle, for lack of a better terminology, meaning that you are all, this is the last in line before the new negotiation period commences?
Yes, just like the county, we're in the same 3-year term as the county is. This is our last one. Different from the county 3 years ago, where you agreed contractually to do a 3, 3, and a 4. I believe it was the exact 3% first year, 3% second year, and 4% the last year. We did, the first year, we did increases cost of living between 8 and 12% because at that time, was right after COVID, was the right thing to do for our employees. We did not have contractual agreements. We did pass last year a 3%, just like you did, and came to you for that approval. We are doing the same thing this year at 4%. It's the right thing to do for the employees. It is still a very strong hardship for Jackson, but it's no different than what I said to you before about whether it's the tax cuts or the ACA subsidies or the direct payment programs. These are all part of the challenges that we have ahead of us and how we continue efficiencies to be able to afford the kinds of increases that we have in front of us.
Thank you so much. And did the realized savings that, I think it was $200 million that you were able to locate through contracting with an outside agency, did that help as far as supporting the 334 on these collective bargaining agreements?
So the original intent was $200 million. At that time, we did 180. That 200 is now 314 million.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It's grown to $314 million. If you look at the last 3 years with the overall increases that we have done, and the goal is to reduce $100 million a year for the next. So yes, that's how we are able to afford all the challenges, not just the cost of living adjustments for the employees, but all the different headwinds that we have in front of us. And we will most likely have to do more than that 3% or $100 million a year, probably the next couple of years.
And when you say that it's grown to 314, you mean 314 million in savings that it's grown to?
It's the 314 is either reductions in expenses or revenue increases, one or the other. And what I mean by revenue increases is adjustments to our collections and how we collect to make sure that we get paid for the things that we should get paid and so forth. So yes, there's revenue enhancements as well as expense reductions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner from District 7.
Thank you, and thank you for clarifying that. Carlos, I see that Martha's there in the back, and I know that the conversations with the unions has been very challenging, and I want to thank you for the item. I think we all recognize that it's difficult times, but as you mentioned, there is also an interesting dynamic. I remember when we were talking about the traveling nurses and how much it was costing Jackson and how difficult it was to keep our staff there. And I know that, we've all been talking about difficult times, different than some of our unions. When there were difficult times, there were times where the unions took absolutely nothing. So there was a point there where everyone kind of stood together to save Jackson, and I think it would be remiss if we didn't mention that part of Jackson's success and your success as a leader has been your amazing relationship with the unions and your ability to get them to do the difficult thing at the difficult time, and your partnership with them. So I think moving forward, we definitely should talk about all of our union contracts. That's gonna come up, and obviously there has this is the mirror of what we negotiated a little bit late, and I think there is the expectation that Jackson gets what the county negotiates. So I think the takeaway from this should be that as we negotiate our contracts, we should have Jackson at the table because there is that understanding, and you guys always come to it a little bit later, and I know that that's challenging. So I hope that the mayor does that. I know that you're in those conversations, and we usually have Jackson there a little bit later. Maybe it might be a good practice to have them there a little bit earlier moving forward. But I'm happy to move the item, Mr. Chair.
All right, show
Mr.
the
Chair?
item moved by Commissioner Regalado, seconded by Commissioner Bastian. Commissioner Gonzalez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to thank my colleague and fellow horseman, Danielle Cohen-Higgins, for bringing up this great conversation. And the conversation is really about the future of the bargaining agreements. It is well suited that we move forward with this 4% increase, given that this is what was negotiated, and that's the primary reason why I wanted to not only support this, but put my name behind it and put it forward. But I think it is imperative that moving forward, we negotiate these contracts effectively. I know that the administration is very prone and focused on good negotiations. I've had great conversations with Carla Denise, and I have faith that we're going to get there. But we do need to keep in mind that these negotiations need to be good for the people, but also need to be sustainable. And with that, Mr. Chair, we can go ahead and call the vote.
All right, and I'll just add that. Well, first of all, procedurally, I understand how this works, and we do have to take this vote now. But it's a little slightly misleading, not entirely, just because this is something that was agreed to 3+ years ago. So us voting today is, while it's procedurally required, it's more of ratifying what was agreed to already in the last 3 years. But with that, I would definitely echo Commissioner, some of my colleagues' words, and certainly Commissioner Cohen-Higgins is, we are, per we've discussed for over a year now. The mayor has said it many, many times. I've said it, and most of my colleagues on the commission have said it. The difficult budget year was not just this fiscal year, the last budget that we approved. There will be more to come, and they may even be uglier than the last one that we approved. So we do have to keep that in mind, colleagues, really to my colleagues, because when the negotiations take place, I see Martha in the back. I love you guys. You guys know I've always been extremely supportive. But you all do your thing. You come and you work us individually, which is your job. It's your job. You're doing it. But colleagues, we gotta be cognizant of the real challenges and fiscal restraints that we have in the next several years. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. And that's for 14A through 14A5. 14A1 through 14A5. Show that passed. On thank you guys. On I'm gonna call up 14A6. What is 14A6? 99-year ground lease. Is this District 9? Commissioner from District 9, you're recognized. Which is this one?
Mr. Chair, this was on your pull list because it's a 14, but nobody's pulled the item.
Okay, all right. So, okay, I get it. All right, so it's been moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show 14A6 passed. All right. Now, I'm going to go back to first reading, if that's in order, Madam Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item 4A is an ordinance relating to county boards, amending Section 2-11.38 of the code requiring clerk of the board to notify county commissioners when any position on a county board becomes vacant, providing severability inclusion in the code and an effective date. 4B is an ordinance relating to Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing disposition of application number CDMP 2025-4, located at the northeast corner of the intersection of North Miami Avenue and Northeast 165th Street, filed by Mikhail Shabanov in the January 2025 cycle to amend the county's comprehensive development master plan, providing severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date. And 4C substitute is an ordinance granting petition of Miami Freedom Park LLC for establishment of a community development district generally bounded on the north by Tamiami Canal, C4 Canal, on the east by Northwest 37th Avenue, on the south by Northwest 14th Street, on the west by Northwest 42 Avenue, Northwest Lejeune Road, creating and establishing Lejeune Gardens Community Development District, providing for name, powers, and duties, providing description and boundaries, providing initial members of Board of Supervisors, directing the county mayor or mayor's designee to collaborate with the district for the provision of periodic reports by the district and for the provision of the District 6 County Commissioner to act as a liaison between the district and the county and to execute an interlocal agreement with the district as necessary, and providing severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date. Those are your first reading items.
Do you have any bifurcations?
I need to bifurcate 4C for the attorneys to read a motion.
Commissioner Orbis bifurcates 4C. If you can read the motion, and then we'll
Yeah.
vote
Yes.
on them all.
Mr. Chair, that's a procedural motion related to 4C.
Okay, so do I need to
To
take up the
waive
other-
the 4-week, 6-week. So that would just be to suspend the board's rules of procedure and waive the 4-week, 6-week municipal notice requirement as to item 4C. Amend item 15B1 to schedule the public hearing for item 4C at the April 21st, 2026 meeting of the board. Direct the agenda coordinator to send the appropriate municipal notices and direct the clerk of the board to publish all necessary notices relating to this item. So once 4A through 4C are approved and this motion is approved, 15B1 will be amended accordingly.
All right, 15B1. All right, with that, do I have a motion for 4A through 4C and 4C as amended?
Motion.
Been moved
Second.
by the Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Orbis. Any further, well, there's no discussion on first reading, so Clerk, Jerry.
Mr. Chair, yes, 4C it's 4C substitute and it's not as amended. The motion is separate.
Okay, so I need to take up 4C separately?
You could take the motion up separately when we're done with
Okay,
4A
I
through
got- I
4C
see. All
substitute.
right, so
Thank you.
4A through 4C, it's been moved, it's been seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bastien.
Yes.
Commissioner Bermudez. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
4.
Senator Garcia. Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Gonzalez.
4.
Commissioner Hardiman. Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Milian Orbis. Commissioner Regalado. Commissioner Steinberg. Vice Chairman McGee.
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, Commissioner Orbis moves her motion, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show her motion passed. All right, before we get into public hearing items, guys, I want to recognize Commissioner Lopez to provide an update on her legislative report. And on that note, Commissioner Lopez and colleagues, I've asked the attorneys to do a deep dive into all the legislation that, or the little bit of legislation that did pass, because it was quite the wrecking ball up there this session. Aren't you glad you left early?
So glad.
So I have asked the attorneys to do a deep dive because from the few that did pass, some heavily affect us here locally, and I'm sure you may get into some of them, but I've asked the lawyers to also provide a memo, and I will be sharing that with everybody as to how that affects us all in our districts, in our daily lives, and in our roles as commissioners. With that, Commissioner Lopez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've been hearing a lot about Tallahassee today. So the Senate and the House adjourned their 2026 regular session on Friday of March 13th. The legislature did not end its work. They are expected to return to Tallahassee for a special session on congressional redistricting, which has been called by the governor on Monday, April 20th. The legislature could also take up the state budget and any related bills that week or convene on the budget later. The timing of the budget special session will depend on how negotiations go between the House and the Senate's leadership on total budget amounts and allocations to major budget areas. I will add that that is the only item that is important because they have a constitutional The legislature has a constitutional responsibility to pass a balanced budget. That's the only thing they have to do. The tax package is likely to be taken up at the same time as the budget, and it relates to the state revenues available for the budget. So let's talk about property taxes for a minute. We've heard a lot about the November ballot and what might or might not be on there. The House passed a proposal on the floor, but it did not get the support of the Senate. So I think it's premature for us to even try to second guess what the legislature may or may not do. It is true that the House's proposal was in keeping with the original recommendation from the governor's office, which was to eliminate all homestead property taxes completely. I don't believe that there is the appetite to do that, but we won't know until they come back in either a special session. They can either take up the property tax issue during the session where they take up the budget, or they may be called into another special session just to address that. You're right, Mr. Chairman, only 233 bills passed this year, which is historically low. No bills have been sent to the governor as of yet, but he will have 15 days to sign them once he receives them. So let's talk just briefly about some of the issues or bills that we were looking at and some that we sent resolutions on. So I'll start with House Bill 697, which is the AIDS Drug Assistance Program. In the final days of the session, the legislature appropriated $30.9 million for the AIDS Drug Assistance Program, and that's just to bridge from March 1st to June 30th. When they come back in for the budget, they're going to have to figure out whether they fund this program or not. There are still some real issues that OMB actually has already begun to identify, because it isn't a quick fix, and I think that in and of itself is probably going to be problematic from a financial perspective. So we shall see what ends up happening in terms of this gap funding now, but it's important that we know that they're just kicking the can down the road. They're going to have to find somewhere between 150 and 200 million if they are to continue the program. One of the ones that really I think stands out for me is House Bill 145, which is sovereign immunity. So the legislature, House Bill 145, actually increased the caps that we are protected by from 200 to 350 for individual claims or judgments to 300 to 500,000 as an aggregate cap. So, and House Bill 145 says we cannot settle a claim in excess of those caps without further action from the Florida legislature. The other one that I think we all spoke about that was somewhat alarming was Senate Bill 1134, the local DEI preemption. A lot happened in the last 2 days of session vis-a-vis this bill. As you know, the bill, as amended and passed, first does not allow us to fund or promote or take any official action related to diversity, equity, or inclusion, or provide that any ordinances, resolution, rules, regulations, programs, or policies that we do have in place today would actually be null and void once the bill is signed. Provides that, of course, we remember this provision, that any local official who does that in their official capacity would be committing misfeasance or malfeasance, which would subject them to removal from office. It also provides a provision for any civil action in circuit court to be brought by any resident that believes that we are not complying with the law. It provides a definition for acting in our official capacity. It prohibits us from allowing funds to be used by employees, contractors, or others to promote DE&I initiatives. There's also a provision of law requiring a potential recipient of any funds, a grant, a contract, will not be able to use the county funds to require its employees, contractors, volunteers, or anyone to be instructed in using materials related to DEI. It also then says that we cannot expend any funds to establish, sustain, support, or staff any DE&I office or employ, contract, or otherwise engage a person to serve as a DEI officer. All of these will come into effect on January 1st of 2027. It has a broad definition of DEI, and here's something that I think is really important to us. It says that it doesn't apply to a body composed of non-elected volunteers or to basic administrative support provided to a body composed of that. However, this is the catch. If a county or city employee sole function is in the provision of administrative support to any volunteer board, then the law applies. So, and you all know that we have boards, and we do have a sole person in each of those boards providing administrative support. We would be in non-compliance with the law. So I just wanted to point that out to you all. Then there is an example. So I listened to the debate on the Senate floor, and this was really an interesting debate because there were so many questions. But the debate, there was a question that said, we're entering Pride Month, so it's an important question that was posed on the Senate floor. Can a local government celebrate or present a proclamation of Pride Month? And the answer from the bill's sponsor, Senator Yarborough, was very clear. It said that if it's not included in any statute, either state or federal, then we would run counter to the bill. However, the events can still take place, but no public dollars can be used to support the event. All permits issued must be issued in a content-neutral manner, but it does allow for the provision of public safety services. So to keep the public safe and to keep order, that would be allowed, but no proclamation, no funds, no anything. That was one of the examples that was used on the floor. So I feel like that's one of the ones that I know that we are asking the county attorneys to really do a deep dive into, because we are unclear how that will affect clearly all of the items that we fund and that we support today. So hopefully we'll get a very extensive review by the county attorneys. I certainly am trying to find out what is allowed, because there were exceptions that were allowed in the final days. There were amendments. For instance, Black History Month is identified as a either state or federal event. So we can support that. What we can't support is anything, and this really is, I think, the basis or foundation. You can't support anything that is not in state or federal law today. And Senator Yarborough said, if there is an activity or an event that is not, you're welcome to bring it to the legislature to see if you can amend statutes to include it. So the exceptions, though, are any official action by us in compliance with state or federal law, recognition of certain specified state and federal holidays and patriotic and national observances. We can promote a nonprofit entity that provides single-sex programs for the homeless or education, counseling and rehabilitation of trauma-involved or at-risk youth. There was a question on the floor, would we continue to be able to support PACE Center for Girls or the AMI for Kids program? And the Senate sponsor said yes, because that falls under this exception. We can recognize and honor individuals and groups in monuments, memorials, and museums authorized by Chapter 265 or Chapter 267, and recognizing those events and individuals that form the basis for those monuments, memorials, and museums. We can also issue event permits in a content-neutral manner. And lastly, the use of equal opportunity or equal employment materials designed to inform individuals about federal and state prohibitions on discrimination. Those are the exceptions. So there's only 2, 4, 6, 7 exceptions. So we will see how this impacts every single thing that we do in the county. I want to also move to net zero policies for governmental entities. As you all know, our port has engaged, and to some degree our airport, in net zero policies. They have passed a law that prohibits any funds of any kind to any net zero policy. As used in the bill, net zero is defined as any policy, program, or initiative designed to achieve a balance between total amount of greenhouse gas emitted into the atmosphere with an equal amount removed from the atmosphere. So we're unable to provide procurement or purchasing preferences institute purchasing preferences, or use government funds to pay dues, membership fees, subscription fees, charitable contributions to any non-governmental agency or organization, including a trade association organization that adopts a net zero policy. We may not impose a tax, fee, penalty, charge, offset, or assessment to any of those following fees, and it prohibits the governmental entity from implementing, administering, or enforcing a program, or even joining any organization that has a net zero policy. So that is the beginning of us having to take a look at current initiatives that we have and how we're going to have to walk all of that back in some fashion. And then there was House Bill 399 that we all opposed. And I want to thank Senator Garcia for his leadership, as well as our three senators, Chevron Jones, Alexis Calatayud, and Ileana Garcia, for having amended the bill on the Senate floor to remove any kind of review or changes to the UDB line that was in House Bill 399. However, what it does do is a lot of different things that we should know about. It requires us to ensure that the development permit and application fees are reasonable, related to the cost of reviewing a project, rather the project's cost, a percentage of the project's cost, or construction costs. So they are addressing now whether or not our fees are reasonably related to the work that needs to be done by our county staff. So that's one. It would also require local comprehensive plans and land development regulations to include an objective criteria for determining whether residential uses are compatible with surrounding neighborhoods. It also does not permit us to deny projects on incompatibility grounds unless they can issue written findings explaining the specific conflicts. It would also direct local governments to identify potential incompatibilities early on and recommend the mitigation measures before rejecting a project outright. And then there are others in this big bill, such as allowing for manufactured housing on lots in recreational vehicle parks, as well as in residential communities. And it requires creating a regulatory parity for off-site constructed homes. So look to see a lot of land use regulations in this bill, and not the least of which is, of course, one that affects both Commissioner Steinberg and my district, which was the large destination resorts preemption. Now the Fontainebleau will, in fact, be able to place their resort without any review from the Historic Preservation Board or the City of Miami Beach. And that has a 5-year sunset provision. As explained, large destination resort has been defined as a hotel with 500 guest rooms that has an average occupancy rate of at least 70% in the past years. And then there was more preemptions in House Bill 1389, the Affordable Housing Live Local Act, that really, I mean, there's so much in there, and I've asked, obviously, our county attorneys to do a deep dive in this to let us know. But the one thing that I think is important here is that it actually clarifies language around the prohibition against discriminating against affordable housing developments in land use decisions by local government, and it waives the sovereign immunity in cases based on such discrimination. So as noted, and this is something we have to take in effect, because we do make decisions to deny affordable housing developments. If they can prove that we've done so in a way that discriminates, then the sovereign immunity caps are removed completely, meaning that a developer could come in here and sue us for $100 million if they can prove the discrimination, which in some cases have already gone to court, showing that some people didn't want affordable housing in their neighborhoods. And that is a discrimination of affordable housing. So we have to be real careful with what's going on in the Live Local Act. And that's just a few of many. I feel like of the very short number of bills they passed, those they passed have a huge impact on the county. And so I cannot report any good news. And I will say this, having been a former budget chair, beware, because the budget is a beautiful place to put policy. I know very well, having done so in implementing and conforming bills. So we are not done yet. This is just a preview of what might come in the future. But you know, people say, well, that's it, the bills are dead. I said, oh no, they're not. There are many ways in which policy can be placed into a budget bill, and certainly those of us that served in the legislature know very, very well how that game has worked. So,
Commissioner, can you, just because I know you didn't go much into it, can you speak for just 30 seconds as to the budget itself? I know that the sine died regular session without approving a budget, but what the proposals were from the House and the Senate, not the details, but just, I know there was a big gap.
there was. You know, and people don't really understand that's a really big gap. There was almost $1 billion, a little excess. So the House's budget, this is why we don't have a budget today, because the House has traditionally been much more fiscally conservative than the Senate. And the House decided we're holding the line and we don't care how long it takes. We're not going to spend taxpayers' dollars, you know, without a lot of concern. And I think the House's budget, and I can say that as a former House member and a former House budget chairman, that in fact, it's the right thing to do, especially in a time when we're trying to reduce property tax reform, right? So I have to say that while the Senate was preaching, and we're not sure, the wheels kind of came off in the Senate in the final days, but I want to say that the Florida House really came in with a strong fiscal conservative budget that did not reduce services, but that reduced waste. And I'm really proud to have seen that work because I started out that way and then I had to hand it over to another chairman. But truly, the Senate is just continued to spend, and I think they're going to be forced into a special session. And I believe the House will hold the line, and I think that's a signal to all of us. We have to hold the line because there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of discussion regarding spending. And, you know, people always say we need to find more money. I say we need to spend less money to the four horsemen. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just think it's amazing how the Senate has really boasted and screamed louder than the House for sure about being fiscally responsible and all this talk about eliminating property taxes. The Senate has been more vocal about that than the House. Yet their proposal is over $1 billion more than the House's budget proposal. So that tells you, you know, the microphone might be loud, but as a friend in the House said, I can't hear what you're saying because I see what you're doing. And that's what the Senate is doing. With that, I have Commissioner Gilbert. And I want to add one more thing is, thank you for your summary. The attorneys are still going to do a deep dive into what actually passed. I know a lot of what you stated were quotes from senators and House members, but it's important that we see the final version of what actually passed in the bill before any of us take action or make any decisions. So I'd ask you all that may want to comment on her discussion item to take that into account, that we don't have the final details as what we have to do, what we don't have to do yet. Attorneys are working on that. They themselves have not finalized that yet. So with that, Commissioner from District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner, for your report. Just a couple of notes. The first thing I want to make a comment on is about affordable housing and not being able to deny someone based on affordable housing not wanted in that area. And I think it was an interesting concept, which on its face sounds like, hey, something that we could get behind. Affordable housing needs to be spread out throughout the community. But in function, that's probably not how that's going to work because of price points, right? So the property in certain areas are worth so much that you can't actually build affordable housing there because the price points don't actually work. The practical effect of that legislation is going to put affordable housing in areas that already have affordable housing because you can't build it in areas where the land just costs too much. And so I think that's something we ought to be mindful of because concentrating people with low income has never been a good idea. It's just not a good idea. So I just want to flag that for us because we will have to actually probably try to figure something out on that. The other thing I want to talk to, and I want to talk directly to you know, our CBOs, the people from the art community, everybody who shows up in matching shirts to our budget hearings. Okay, this is to the matching shirt crowd. Go to Tallahassee right now. talk to them right now. Call them right now. Because if they pass something that substantially hampers our ability to use money in the general fund, it will not matter if you come to our public hearing. So I've come to notice something, that we're the easiest, we're local, so the closest to the people, I get it. But we don't make decisions in a vacuum. How we spend money, the money that we have to spend, is in large part contextualized and determined by people in other places. So whether it's the federal government with CDBG, whether it's property taxes with the state of Florida, we will not have the money. So I appreciate all of the matching T-shirts. You don't have to match T-shirts for them. You can if you want to. I appreciate your advocacy, and most of the people on this dais, I think we all understand the sentiment, because you're providing very needed services in our community to our residents. It's one of the things that makes us great. We appreciate that. I'm telling you now, though, if you don't use your voice now, if you don't use your advocacy now, if you don't actually change how this conversation ends, the conversation that they are having, it is very likely that we will be on a course that requires us to cut the funds that we give you. And so the mayor's been talking for 3 years about how we have to step back because we don't have the money. There will not be stepping back. There will be eliminations. And I think it's important to put that out there in very clear and certain terms, so that all the CBOs who are going to come and say you hate kids and you hate seniors and you hate the poor, and no, we don't. We just don't have the money. We just don't have the money. So we probably need to step up that type of advocacy now. And then the other comment I would make about property tax reform is, I understand, I've read the proposals, I've read the suggestions, I've read all the articles, and I understand to our first responders, our police officers, our firefighters, they say it won't affect you. The devil is a liar. It will affect you. If you think that all you want is that cost of living every year, if you think that's all you want, then you all can sit quietly. But you all know that when we cut back on social services, crime goes up. It's going to affect you. And so we sit here and far too often, we give passes out and you all don't have to say anything, but your voices, the voices of law enforcement and first responders, they matter when they're talking to people, and they matter when they're talking to the legislators. You know that it will affect you. Say something. Just say something. Or if you choose not to say something, that's fine. But don't act like you were on the side of the community. No, you were thinking about yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, Commissioner from District 8. You're right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Lopez, for that report. I know we get these reports in writing from Jess and from our lobby corps, but I think it's really helpful for you to put it on the microphone so that our residents and our team members at the county are informed in that manner. So thank you. And if you don't mind, can you repeat for me what the definition of diversity is in that bill that passed the House?
And while you find that, Commissioner, you have several questions too before I...
Yeah, I just have one question.
Oh, you have it? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sorry. So it says, manipulate or otherwise influence the composition of employees with reference to race, color, sex, ethnicity, gender identity, or sexual orientation, other than to ensure that hiring is conducted in accordance with state and federal anti-discrimination laws, promote or provide preferential treatment or special benefits to a person or group based on that person or group's race, color, sex, ethnicity, gender identity, or sexual orientation, or promote or adopt training, programming, or activities designed or implemented with reference to race, color, sex, ethnicity, gender identity, or sexual orientation.
That is a sweeping definition. Sweeping definition. And so to our attorneys, or to Commissioner Lopez, I'm just wondering like we're a majority minority community in Miami-Dade County, and a lot, if not the vast majority, of our CBOs cater to different communities that are specifically mentioned in that definition. And so I just wonder if, for example, the Hispanic Chamber or the Latin Builders Association or the Haitian Bar Association, if they were to just change their name to not Latin Builders Association, not Haitian Bar Association. I mean, I'm just wondering how we as a community are, right? I mean, I think that's authentically what our CBOs are likely going to do, is change their names in order to conform with the language of that bill, in order to continue the mission and the work that they do in serving the residents of our community. Because I just can't imagine, with a definition that broad and that sweeping in a community that is majority minority like Miami-Dade County, how we as a body would not be able to put our dollars behind the values that we hold so high in our community and supporting different organizations that are doing great work. I know it levels and we're getting hit from so many different directions, but I'm just extremely interested on how this bill moves through. Like you mentioned, it's not final, it's not done. But
It's done. It's done.
Oh, this one is done?
This is going.
Oh, our attorney is nodding their head. Okay.
No, it's in the, yes, governor's going to sign it. He signaled, he is
this is
excited about this.
Oh, he's excited. This is done. Okay, great. So to the attorneys, and I understand that there's challenges with having these discussions, but I know that many of our CBOs in the county that rely on our CBO discretionary dollars year after year and come and speak to us during the budget season, whether it's, there's so many of them. Do you think that changing their name would make a difference?
No.
Commissioner, the CBO issue is just one of the important issues I know from a funding perspective you all will be grappling with for this upcoming budget, and I know that budget planning is well underway. We have already met internally. We're hopeful to be able to take as quick of a dive once we have the final bill language to be able to start at least giving you the best answers we can on some of these fundamental issues. Our goal is to try to interpret those things that we know absolutely are covered by the bill, tell you very quickly to the greatest extent that we can what is not, and then so that would give you an opportunity to move forward with whatever policy decisions the board would have to make. But at this point in time, we just are unable to give you that answer today.
May I, Mr. Chairman? So I think changing the name will not do it. It's the mission and activities, which has been very clearly debated. If you look at the legislative intent, it's not the name of the organization, it's what the organization does. That is, the activities is what we'll have to look at, not their name. Because I too had an issue. I fund out of my own discretionary funds things like the Kiwanis, who provide a summer camp for children that live in Little Havana. Most, if not all of them, are Hispanic. So, I'm having questions in my own mind, and I've shared them with the county attorney, and I do believe that they'll figure out what isn't and then what may be, and then we are going to have to make decisions whether we take the risk of being accused of misfeasance or malfeasance and then potentially being removed from office, which then puts us in a position where we have to be uber conservative in the interpretation, right? Because any liberal interpretation of any of this could put us all at risk individually or collectively. And I did want, Mr. Chairman, just to remind everyone, the $1 billion difference, most of you may not know that the legislature, the leaders in the legislature, both the Speaker and the Senate President, have what's been known over the years as the sprinkle list, right? It's money that they just give out that has not been vetted appropriately in a committee. And that $1 billion difference is the House has said no sprinkle, and the Senate's saying, no, we want $1 billion in sprinkle. So I wanted to be clear to clarify that, because
a historic number.
It's a historic number. I'm shocked by the billion that the Senate wants, but that is where the rubber hits the road. That is what's creating the tension in negotiations between the House and the Senate.
Commissioner Gilbert, you recognize.
Just to point out something, though. Organizations like the Haitian Lawyers Association, who provide services, they don't just provide to Haitian residents. And so I just wanted to point that out, because a lot of the Jewish, they don't. So the name would seem to draw the ire of the statute, but if it's judged by mission, it might not. A lot of things that we formed in this county, we've necessarily moved away from those distinctions in mission a lot. It still captures the same group of people, but everyone actually is eligible and they actually are served. So when you have the Cuban Bar Association doing legal services for us, they don't just help Cuban people. And I think that's important for us to note. So when we start to grapple with these issues, we have to look to what the organizations actually do and who they actually serve and what they're actually promoting, and not just the name. Not just the name. And so I don't want us to think that this will, I think a greater problem for us is the fact that we're not going to have money to give them. Not that we can't have money to give them.
Commissioner from District 2, you're recognized.
Chair Rodriguez, I want to start by thanking you, Commissioner Lopez, for your presentation, to bring light to some of the legislation being considered, some already passed in Tallahassee. And I wanted to make a comment about what you just said, Commissioner Gilbert, and I concur with the fact that now is the time for some of the community groups to go to Tallahassee. I know some that go, but more need to go. But I think more would go if they knew, if they understood. Look, I learned a lot from your presentation. Imagine people in the community who are so busy living, facing numerous challenges. They don't have time. They don't know what's going on in Tallahassee. What's going on? Tallahassee seems to be far-fetched for them because they are dealing with so much, which brought me back to the piece of legislation that I passed, or the civic education legislation that the mayor is implementing. And Madam Mayor and staff, I think if there is a time where we could use some of the meetings that people attended in great numbers, that would be now. And my question is, I know that the mayor and staff has planned to restart these meetings. I wanted to find out from Mayor Cava, where is that right now?
You're recognized to answer the commissioners.
I do apologize. I was being asked a question by another commissioner. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, no, I was saying that a lot of, I concurred with a comment that Commissioner Gilbert made about people going to Tallahassee. And I stated that most of the people are so busy living, the challenges, oftentimes they don't have time. So that's why it would be important for some of the meetings that we've had doing the implementation of the civic education legislation that I passed would be helpful.
Yes.
And I know they were well attended. We were all surprised by the number of people who came to learn about local government, about what we do on the dais.
Yes.
So I know that you have plans to continue
Yes.
the implementation. I wanted to have an idea of when that might be. Yeah.
Thank you, through the chair. Commissioner, we have had already meetings with nonprofits, not on the budget per se, but on ways that we can support them even outside of funds. And we always tell them that decisions being made in Tallahassee will affect our ability to provide funding to our CBOs. And we always tell them to get involved. I want to make a point here. It's not just our nonprofits that need to be in Tallahassee. It's all of us. And we have the window now. This is the time. We can't wait until an item is passed and then we're precluded from directly lobbying an item that's on a ballot. That is a restriction, and I ask our attorneys to clarify that for us. Each of us has this window of time, just like Carlos Magoya was very, very clear today. And we have produced estimates of impacts. There's been a recent Miami Herald article with estimates of impacts. Those impacts, of course, will affect not just our nonprofits. They will affect transit, animal services, road repair, parks, really every general fund component of our budget. And as was said, we can't say that even police and fire will be protected because it would be stopped at the current level. So that doesn't allow for future growth. And it only compounds the issue that we would have for our other dollars, including libraries, which could potentially, of course, be affected as well. So we're talking about all the basic services that our community has come to rely upon, certainly wants, and in many cases vitally needs.
Wow.
So we just need to take it upon ourselves to be extremely active. And we have prepared a joint letter with cities to the legislature. I've published an op-ed, and I urge all of us to follow through with Jess, of course, McCarty, and also our contract lobbyists to be very active right now.
Thank you, Mayor. With that, Senator Garcia, you're on cue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, we're having a great conversation here, but I think the only action that we really have right now in reference to the bill that Commissioner Lopez was talking about was urging the governor to veto it. I'm fine with asking if you guys are willing to vote for it, vetoing 1134. That's the only course of action that we really have. I think that bill, while I think it's well-intentioned, I think has gone a little further than where it should be and is causing so much consternation between all of us and the uncertainty that it actually exists. So I'm willing to proffer a motion to have the county attorney's office draft a letter asking the governor to please veto House Bill 1134, if that's the House Bill number.
All right, it's been moved by Senator Garcia, seconded by the Vice Chair.
A letter, excuse me.
No, an
just point of
urging.
order.
An urging, I'm sorry.
A formal or urging passed by a vote count of the board, I think will carry greater weight, and I'm happy to co-sponsor that. Thank you, Senator.
All right, show it, not to the governor, though, not to the governor. So Senator moves it, Vice Chair seconds the motion. It's a strong urging from this body to the governor directly to consider vetoing this bill. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Lopez, thank you again for your report.
Through the chair.
Yes, we're still on the discussion item?
Just really quick, a question to our attorneys.
Okay, Commissioner Regalado, and then I'll end with you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I echo some of the comments. I just want to logistically consider something. I mean, we know as Commissioner Lopez says, the governor has said that he is excited about signing this. So I'm glad we're sending something, but from a pragmatic point of view, one of the things that we've been following in this bill in particular is the very broad definition. And my question to our attorneys is, could we request, the legislative record of that definition? I mean, I hate to be like ramping up for fight, but I think that that would probably be a better kind of start at this as we move forward, to just start looking at that definition. I know they're going to get back to us with what our options are, but can we request anything from the state in terms of their, I guess it would be the Attorney General of the state, their interpretation, right, of this bill. I want to start knowing how the attorneys interpret this, because the remedy is removal from office. So the sooner we start getting to what they think this really means, the better positioned we are to decide what is the path that we're going to take there. So I don't know if we can formally request an opinion. I know that we have in the past. Jerry, I don't know if you feel comfortable with that.
Commissioner, I think at this point, I just double checked again. This bill has not been filed. Like, we don't even have the final language of the bill. I think what we would recommend is to let us get the bill. We've already started trying to get whatever information we can, analyze it, and let us report back to each of you before you take any additional steps on how to move forward with this matter.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank our Commissioner Vicky Lopez for that very thorough review. I did want to make one additional point on the net zero bill, and when we get more details, you'll see, I believe there's a significant exception for things that actually save money. So if it's an economic benefit, then of course we can do it, but that has to be demonstrated. I also just want to clarify that for the CBOs, this DEI language would force us not to be able to fund them. And I think that's very much to the point that Commissioner Gilbert was making. So it would affect not just the quantity of dollars that we have, but the selection of organizations that we could fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner Gilbert, this will be your third bite at the apple here. Really quickly? Go ahead. All right, thank you for that. All right, with that, Mr. Attorneys, is there an order to move into public hearing at this time? Yep, all right. Can the attorneys read the public hearing items?
Yes, sir. 5B is an ordinance granting petition of the Ocean Gate Community Development District to dissolve the Ocean Gate Community Development District, generally bounded on the north by theoretical Southwest 346th Street, theoretical Southwest 2nd Street, on the east by Southwest 177 Avenue, South Chrome Avenue, State Road number 997, on the south by theoretical Southwest 352 Street, theoretical Southwest 7th Street, and on the west by the Transportation Corridor, dissolving Ocean Gate Community Development District, releasing declaration of restrictive covenants, and authorizing the mayor or designee to take all action and execute any documents necessary for such release, and providing severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date. 5C is an ordinance granting petition of Palm Gate Community Development District, generally bounded as amended on the north by Southwest 340 Street, on the east by Southwest 167 Avenue, Tennessee Road, on the south by Southwest 352 Street, and on the west by Southwest 170 Avenue, amending the boundaries of the district to expand its total acreage by approximately 5445 acres, providing severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date. 5D is an ordinance creating and establishing a special taxing district in the county, generally bounded on the north by Southwest 284th Street, on the east by Southwest 173 Avenue, on the south by Southwest 286th Street, and on the west by Southwest 177 Avenue, SR 997, Chrome Avenue, known and described as a BESS, multi-purpose maintenance and street lighting special taxing district, identifying services to be provided, authorizing and directing the mayor designate to cause to be maintained and operated various public improvements, and to provide for the installation of streetlights, approving a street lighting agreement with Homestead Energy Services, and authorizing the mayor designee to execute the agreement, waiving provisions of resolution number R-13006 and providing for exclusion from the code and an effective date. And 5D1 is a corresponding resolution approving, adopting, and confirming a preliminary assessment rule for the district. 5E is an ordinance creating and transferring a special taxing district in the county within the boundaries of the city of Homestead, generally bounded on the north by Southwest 328th Street, North Canal Drive, Southeast 8th Street, on the east by theoretical Southwest 152 Avenue, theoretical Southeast 27 Drive, on the south by South Canal Drive, and on the west by theoretical Southwest 154 Avenue, theoretical Southeast 26th Avenue, known and described as Keys Gate North Subdivision Multi-Purpose Maintenance Special Taxing District, identifying services to be provided, authorizing and directing the mayor designee to cause to be maintained and operated various public improvements, and providing for exclusion from the code on an effective date. And 5E1 is a corresponding resolution relating to the Keys Gate North Subdivision Special Taxing District, located entirely within the boundaries of the city of Homestead, and transferring the special taxing district to the city of Homestead. 5F is a resolution approving the plat of Palm Glades. Those are your public hearing items.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. Are there any speakers at this particular moment? Public hearing is open. Seeing that we don't have any cards, public hearing is now closed. Is there anyone who wishes to bifurcate any items? Seeing no bifurcation, seeing a move by Commissioner Gilbert, second by Commissioner Lopez. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bermudez. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Senator Garcia. Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Gonzalez. Commissioner Hardiman. Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Milian Orbis. Commissioner Regalado. Commissioner Steinberg. Commissioner Bastien.
Yes.
Vice Chairman McGee.
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Madam Attorney, I do believe you have an announcement as it relates to some releases.
Yes, I have a request from Commissioner Bastian just to be listed as a co-sponsor of 11A1, and Commissioner Cohen-Higgins was the only polling commissioner of item 1I1 and its substitute. So if you wish to approve that, I believe she wants to release it. A motion would be in order.
I have a motion on 1I1. Seeing Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I pulled 1I1 because typically our Miami-Dade Commission on Women give a presentation of their annual report, but it was just brought to my attention that the presentation will take place during committee hearings and committee week. And so if the presentation is going to take place then I would prefer to reserve my comments for when the actual report is presented. So I'm happy to move it. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Senate moved, Senate second by Commissioner Gilbert. All in favor? All against? See, the item passes. 3B2, looks like Commissioner from District 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I pulled this item and I had some questions for pros, if you're here, and for the administration. So I pulled it because it's contracts on 4 bridges with FDOT, and it came to my attention that there was a contract for the Ludlam Trail bridges, very similar to these, that has been halted, and we haven't heard why. And it was my understanding that the funding was in place and it was earmarked for those projects. It's not to do with this specifically, but the Ludlam Trail bridges. So I wanted to request an update on that, and if you had any information on why it was halted and what's the status of that project with FDOT.
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Eichler, Miami-Dade County Parks. Thank you. Ludlam Trail has certainly been getting a lot of attention. To date, we've completed our 30% schematic design for the trail, which notably includes the development of the project development and environmental study with the feds, that's a big milestone that was completed. From that schematic design, we're creating pricing for potential developers, and we're working towards a memo of agreement with FDOT for design, which includes the 3 bridges. That is needed, that MOA is needed for us to continue, and so that's our current status of the project.
I believe it's 4 bridges.
Correct, 3 that FDOT specifically we're working with.
Okay, so if you can, provide me with an update as to, you don't have to do it today, but I would like an update as to make sure that the funding is in place, because my understanding is that if it's not all in place, then they would only be able to do 1 bridge, and of course that's not what we want to do, and those bridges are instrumental to the completion of the trail. So I would request an update from your department at your earliest convenience so that we can get that moving.
Absolutely, Commissioner. We'd be happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No further questions. I'm happy to move it.
Commissioner, are you satisfied with everything? Thank you. Seeing that Commissioner Orbis moved the item, do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Gilbert. All in favor? All against? Shows item passes. Commissioner from District 6, you also have 3B3. You released this one? Showing it's moved by Commissioner Bastian, second by Commissioner Gilbert. All in favor? All against? Shows item passes. 8P1, Commissioner from District 6.
Yes, thank you. I have a question for the department. So in the contract here on page 46, it says that the contractor will not manage the vendor teams directly, but will still be responsible for the overall success of the project and maintaining accountability across all parties. So I wanted to ask, who is managing it if they are not?
Through the Vice Chair. Thank you for that question. There are DTPW staff as well as CEI staff associated. This is to ensure the collaboration between the 2 contracts, as well as provide documentation necessary for us to have training materials, et cetera, as we move forward. So they are collaborating with both contracts, but not necessarily oversight of the physical infrastructure, that's the capital infrastructure that goes into the buses, in the ground, et cetera. So it's just a component of the oversight of the contracts. It is less than 1% of the cost of those 2 contracts.
Okay, and of our employees that already work in the department and have knowledge on this, they are not able to do that oversight.
They are not.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. No
Thank you,
further questions.
Commissioner from District 7.
Thank you. And Stacy, and I know we've talked about it at length, and I just want to thank you for all the work that you guys are doing on this, on this fair item. I know that it's complex, but in order to explain it a little bit better, right now, kind of the lesson learned from past fair issues has been to separate the three buckets. So we have we're getting the best-in-class hardware, that's already been approved. This is the operation, and then the real headache is the software, right? So the software is still coming. So the idea here is to get best-in-class in all three buckets, and then what we're approving today are the humans that are going to make sure that the hardware works with the software.
Correct.
And it's important because they're not going to be tethered to either, because that's been our problem in the past. The past has been that the people who are doing the operation have skin in the game. So they're not necessarily, giving us the best advice in terms of the hardware and the software and how those things are working together. So thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add, my question was because, it's a large expenditure for this contract, and I just want to make sure that before we spend that we don't have the expertise internally, right? So that's why I wanted to confirm that with you, because we do have a lot of employees that I know are very well-versed in their expertise. So thank you for answering that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Can I get someone to move the item? Moved by Commissioner Gilbert, seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All against? Shows item passes. The next one we have is AP2, Commissioner from District 11.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And if I can get the director to come up for a second.
Just a point of order, Mr. Chairman. AP2 is Commissioner Bastien's item, and she's off the dais right now. Could we skip that and come back to it?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good point. Oh, there she is.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Director, thank you for coming up. So this past summer, we discussed extending the contract of a former program administrator. And I was quite critical at that time, given the state of the Section 8 program, and I voted against the extension. But today, I want to personally commend you for keeping your word, because I think that it is very important to keep one's word. And you kept your word. You're recommending a new company to administer Section 8. I want to commend you. I want to commend the administration for positive steps forward to solving this issue. I would like to stay informed moving forward, and I'll be reaching out to your office so that we can stay informed. But it goes without saying that in order to solve issues, you need to make difficult decisions, and I commend you for what you're doing with the department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll move the item.
An item being moved by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Bastien. All in favor? All against? Shows item passes.
Are we on the pull list, or?
Madam Attorney, 15B1.
We are done with the poll list. At this time, I can read some motions, Mr. Chair.
Sure. Go. Are we done with the poll list?
We're done with the poll list.
Right. That was great. All right. Go ahead and read the motions. You can start.
Mr. Chair, should I start with your motion?
That works. Yep.
Chairman Rodriguez moves to amend the 2026 calendar of the Board of County Commissioners to cancel the regular CDMP zoning board meeting schedule for March 19, 2026.
Yes, because the items have been they've been requested to be deferred, but the way our rules work is we would have to all show up just to defer the item. So we're just canceling the meeting, and then they automatically get deferred to the next one. And I save you all a trip downtown for no reason when all 2 or 3 have requested deferral. So, Commissioner Regalado.
Thank you. Just because we have been sued on this point. I just want to make sure that then the notice, we're going to renotice everything, right?
Of course. I mean, yes.
Commissioner, our office will work with staff to ensure that any notice requirements are satisfied, and particularly on the zoning application. I think we would urge, we will look at it cautiously. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, but, I mean, yes, I understand, though. It's been moved, it's been seconded by Commissioner Orbis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Congratulations, you have Thursday free. All right, next motion.
Commissioner Milian Orbis moves to amend Resolution Number R-1228-25 to provide the county mayor's designee with the additional authority to negotiate and execute agreements with the applicable constitutional offices and collective bargaining units to remove the one-time only restriction on the use of the crosswalk provision and to expand the group of employees who are eligible to use the crosswalk provision to include all employees who were employed by either the county or an applicable constitutional office on the January 7, 2025 transition date.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
You may, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. This request came or this amendment came at the request of the administration. So I don't know if you want to answer any questions that we may have, but I'm doing this to comply with the request from the administration on the item that was already done.
All right. Thank you for that, Commissioner.
And thank you.
Madam Mayor. We'll just stand by if we have questions, but it's been moved. It's been seconded by Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Regalado, you recognize?
Thank you. I just have a question, because I know that not all the constitutional offices were interested. The property appraiser said that he wasn't interested. So is there a reason why we're doing it for all of them, even though one of them has said he's not interested?
You're recognized for an ebb and flowing conversation.
Through the chair, we actually went back and spoke with each of the constitutionals and the respective unions. This required the unions to concur, so it's consistent with what each constitutional and each union agreed to.
Oh, and
All right, so just, it's the unions. Got it.
right.
Correct.
I think the constitutional offices can opt out if they wish, so it doesn't bind them to anything. Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. So we have a motion by Commissioner Orbis, a second by Gilbert. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the motion carried. All right, next motion.
Commissioner Milian Orbis moves to approve and authorize the county mayor's designee to execute the First Amendment to the lease agreement, providing for a two-year extension with a rental rate of $1,500,000 per year to that certain 30-year lease of the West Transfer Station property, folio number 34-4014-010-0010 from the City of Coral Gables, approved pursuant to this board's resolution number R-804-78, with a term that expired on March 13, 2026, and also providing for the City of Coral Gables permitted use of certain county-owned property, folio number 30-60-29-000-030, for hurricane debris staging, and exercise all provisions set forth in the lease. A copy of the lease amendment is with the clerk of the board.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Orbis, seconded by Commissioner Regalado. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Show the motion carried. Next motion.
Commissioner Steinberg moves to amend Resolution Number R-2225, approved by this board on January 22nd, 2025, to correct the scrivener's error in the project description found in the executive summary of the mayor's memorandum on page MDC 002 by deleting the balance of the paragraph commencing from line 5 of the executive summary following the word causeway, inserting a period after the word causeway, and adding the following language immediately thereafter. The project involves the following short-term improvements: 5 bus shelter structures and yield to pedestrian signs at the 4 major intersections on 79th Street, and coloring and restriping intersections. Commissioner Steinberg further moves to direct the clerk of the board to update resolution number R-22-25 to correct such scrivener's error.
It's been moved. It's been seconded by Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Hardiman, and comments.
I just want to understand, how is that a scrivener's error if you're adding in all that language?
Commissioner Steinberg.
That's Steinberg.
I'd have to ask the council.
Yeah, that's Steinberg. How is that a scrivener's error?
The attorneys are
What was the error?
Commissioner, in the original item, the item itself, the contract, and the resolution were correct. In the mayor's memorandum, the description of the project inadvertently talked about converting 2 lanes into 1. For lack of a better word, it's pretty clear that a cut and paste of a different grant application was inserted into that
memorandum. What this does is correct what the project description, which is accurately reflected in the agreement itself.
Thank you.
Makes sense. We don't have to do that.
Well, no, I just don't know that we needed a motion to correct it if the item was right, but the memorandum was wrong, because what's binding is the actual item.
It's all part of the
But
record.
it says it though, right? So if it says it, I mean,
Can you all get back with Commissioner Gilbert?
yeah, but
Why that was
I'll second
necessary?
it. I'll second the
Right, It's
motion.
been moved, it's been seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show the motion carried. Next.
Commissioner Gilbert moves to extend the due diligence period of the amended and restated lease and development agreement between Miami-Dade County and Landmark QOZB Construction LLC, approved by the board through resolution number R-974-24 from March 31st, 2026 to April 30th, 2026, and directs the county mayor or county mayor's designee to execute any amendments necessary to extend the due diligence period, subject to review for form and legal sufficiency by the county attorney's office.
Show it moved by Commissioner Gilbert, seconded by Commissioner Orbis. Seeing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show that motion carries. Next.
Board appointments and allocations, Mr. Chair.
All right, do I have any board appointments? Do you have them with you or no? No? Any board appointments? Any allocations?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I have an appointment.
Commissioner Orbis, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. I move to appoint Yona Janowitz to the Parks and Recreation Citizens Advisory Committee.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Orbis,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. All right, Commissioner Gilbert on appointment.
On appointments, Mr. Chairman, I just want to bring to the board's attention, I'm sure you all have been made aware by the county attorney's office, that when we passed the legislation regarding the CITT in the last meeting, it requires us to actually reappoint or make new appointments to our CITT designates. And so I just want to put that on your radar, because I think we have 45 days or something. So I think that we need to probably just pay attention to that, because that's why I was gonna just pointing out that maybe we.
Anybody wants to reappoint their member?
Can,
They
yeah.
Do it now. Commissioner Regalado, you're recognized.
Yes, I would like to appoint Meg Daly to the CITT.
Commissioner Regalado appoints Meg Daly, seconded by Commissioner
second.
Gilbert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to appoint Henry Hoffman.
All right. Are you going to do an appointment as well? Hold on. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to keep my appointee, Mayor Peggy Bell.
Okay. Steinberg.
I would like to reappoint Robert Walworth.
All right. Show it moved by Commissioner Regalado, the three. Well, Gonzalez is the first one. Gonzalez, seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All in favor of those three appointments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any other
Miguel
appointments?
Murphy, Mr. Chairman, Miguel Murphy, appointing Miguel Murphy.
All right. Miguel Murphy moved, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Any other appointments? Seeing none, show us adjourned.
Pak Miami-Dade gen pou ofri. Apprendre ki jon ka viv yon vi nan pak divertissement, lo visite miamidade.gov/parks.
Pendant plusieurs années, artistes toujours à participer pour faire bâtiment public